A quick public service announcement. Probably talking to you. Here's the public service announcement. You know, we came here tonight to play music, not to hear some loudmouth motherfucker screaming during the quiet part. So, if you're one of these people that feel like you gotta scream when it's quiet, would you go out in the hallway and do it? Or, here's a better idea, why don't you just leave the Why don't you just leave the concert, go down to the bar where they encourage screaming and bad behavior, and you'll fit right in. Or, you might think about going to church on Sunday and get some manners taught to you. What do you think? That's the end of the public service announcement. And thank you, Marshall. Any of you guys ever been to Portland, Oregon before? Well, I gotta tell you, I was there about 5 or 6 years ago, and I was having lunch at a fancy restaurant with some fancy people. I was eating food I didn't even know what the fuck I was eating. I mean, that's how fancy it was. It was like, what? Okay, yeah, I'll have that. But while we're eating, there was this girl about 21, 22 years old. She just kept walking back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth in front of the window in front of the restaurant. And I don't mean she was walking a little bit, she was manic, walking back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And her hair was all matted together, and her face was dirty. And after about 20 minutes of watching, I excused myself from the fancy dinner I was having and walked outside, and I said, hey, calm down. What's the matter? And she goes, I want to go home. And I said, well, where do you live? Maybe I can help you get there. She lived about 500 miles away, and I told her, I said, you know what, I'll buy you this, we'll leave right now and I'll buy you a bus ticket and you can go home. And she looked at me, thank you, she looked at me like I was crazy, and she said, I would like to go home, but they don't want me there. That's what I thought. So I said, well, is there anything that I can do? And she just stared at me, and guys, this was a cute 25-year-old kid, and her hair was all matted, she had rags on her fucking clothes, and had these shoes on. And so I reached in my pocket and I pulled out some money, and I said, here, why don't you go get yourself a good dinner somewhere? And she goes, do I gotta have sex with you to take this money? And I thought, no, you don't have to. And as soon as I said that, she snatched the money out of my hands. I mean, like, bam! She took the money, she took the bills, and she took off running, and I could see her dirty feet. And as she was running, she looks over her shoulder, she goes, I don't know who you are, but thank you for letting me have dinner tonight without having to have sex with some stranger. You know, is this the kind of country you want to live in? No, I don't think this is not what I grew up looking at. And you know, here's the thing. I'm old enough that I was a hippie, you know, and I lived out on the streets for a few weeks by choice, and I fucking went home. Because you gotta be hard up crazy or all the above to live out there in this thing. I mean, it's terrible. So, anyway, I thought about this girl, you know, for the last 5 or 6 years periodically, and I thought, I wonder whatever happened to her. I wonder, you know, I'll never know. Is she still alive? Did she make it home? You know, what happens to a kid like that? And then I thought, man, I'm so lucky that didn't happen to one of my kids. And that we're all lucky that kids aren't living out on the fucking streets. It's terrible. So I wrote this song for her called The Eyes of Portland. She'll never know I wrote it for her. You know, I'll never find out who this kid is. As I saw through the eyes of Portland one day, there were so many homeless who had gone astray. They slept on the corners during the day, as not to be harmed when the sun went away. There were old ones and the young ones and white ones and black. They were all shapes and sizes with rags on their backs. So many people mixed up in this stew. They had no place to go. They had nothing to do. All of these homeless, where do they come from? In this land of plenty, where nothing gets done to help those that are empty and unable to run. Our tears and prayers won't help the homeless. I hate when I hear that on the news, the newscaster so insincerely goes, and our prayers and tears go out to all these people. Fuck you. Some were mentally ill, some were higher than kites, selling their bodies as they turned to night. Where was their loved ones? Did anyone care to be lost and alone in the middle of nowhere? All of these homeless, where do they come from? In this land of plenty, where nothing gets done to help those that are empty and unable to run. Your tears and prayers won't help the homeless. What will it take for this country to see? For the grace of God go they, and not you and me, and the fallen and forgotten who are down on their knees, living here in our gutters, in the land of the free. All of these homeless, where do they come from? This land of plenty, where nothing is done to help those that are empty and unable to run. Your tears and prayers won't help the homeless.